without taking so much of our time, let me then invite Kamshin. Kamshin is the 2IC of the Wisdom Workshop, and then she's going to be rapporteuring this session between Aaron, Solomon, and Justus. Thank you so much, Kamshin.
Hello, everybody. Let me just quickly introduce our speakers for today. So we have two panelists, Solomon and Justus. Solomon is a geomatic surveyor by profession and has a master's in land management and land tenure from Technical University of Munich. He's currently working with UNHabitat and Global Land Tool Network and supports in the domain of land administration with application of fit-for-purpose land administration tools and approaches. He is also supporting country work in improving land governance, especially in customary context, and modernization of practices in land sector towards sustainable practices. Our other panelist is Justus, who is a land administration specialist with 9 years of experience working on land policy advocacy, the establishment of land information management systems, participatory community resource mapping, and securing of land rights in Sub Saharan African working with organizations such as Oxfam, UNHabitat, FAO, and the Society of International Development. He is currently a program specialist for Cadasta, leading efforts to document land rights in the Eastern African region. To moderate the panel, we have Aaron Hick, who grew up in New Zealand and currently lives in Brisbane, working as a geospatial consultant in Australia and internationally. He previously volunteered for 2 years in the beautiful island nation of Kiribati through volunteer services abroad and is excited to see VCSP expanding rapidly. In that role, he volunteered as a land surveyor trainer within the government's surveying and GIS team, where he got to build capacity in the team and assistant firsthand with pro-poor tenure management. He misses the plentiful fresh fish, but now gets to play basketball badly and still loves to travel. Gentlemen, you have the floor. Aaron?
Yes. Hello, Kamsin. How are you?
Good. Do you want me to start your Mentimeter before or after your session?
Maybe you can start it as we just as I do the introduction, and people can
okay.
answer that as they see fit as we go through, just whenever they have the time.
Okay, perfect.
Would you like me to take over now, Kamsin?
Yes, please.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very, very happy to be here. So thank you so much for the invite. And firstly, thank you to all of you for attending. It's great to see so many people here, and it's great to hear of the interest and the excitement about these important topics. And thank you to the VCSP management team and to Diane for her very passionate and inspiring introduction. As Kamsin just mentioned, there will be a Mentimeter running, so please take the time during this panel discussion to answer those questions. And we also hope to have some time at the end of the panel to answer any questions that are posed through the chat in Zoom. So if you send any questions, just send them to everyone, and hopefully we'll have some time to answer them. So I'm in this panel discussion, we will discuss volunteering for pro-poor land admin projects. And I'm very lucky to have volunteered as a surveyor, as Kamsin mentioned, in Kiribati in the Pacific, working in this area. But more importantly than that, the two panel members we have here are experts in this field. So now I'd like to introduce them, and I've been very lucky to work with both of them through VCSP, and it's been great to get to know them through that process. So Solomon is with the UNHabitat Global Land Tool Network as a land admin consultant, and Justus is based in Kenya as an East Africa Regional Program Specialist with Cadasta. So without any further ado, I'd like to pose the first question and give Solomon and Justus an opportunity to introduce themselves before they answer that first one. So if we throw it to Solomon first, Solomon, how has GLTN's actions and VCSPs helped to promote tenure security in the face of all the challenges, especially from a volunteering perspective?
Thank you very much, Aaron. I trust you can hear me. Hello, everyone. My name is Solomon. I work with the UNHabitat from Nairobi. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. So, as mentioned, I'm very happy to interact and have that exchange on these tools and maybe the experiences on under VCSP. So it's with GLTN work, I think we've been very happy to collaborate with the young surveyors, with the FIG, and I'm just excited to see the young surveyors here speaking about the experience with the STDM. So this is really remarkable, and we're very happy, to work with you. And GLTN is very happy to continue this collaboration. So maybe going to the question that has been posed, I would say, yeah, it's a mixed approach. Yeah? And given that we've already done the pilot, now we are learning. And, for GLTN, we'll be able to collect that experience. What are some of the innovations that we can bring? And more specifically is how can we categorize, the adoption of these alternative approaches. So more like how much is this affecting or rather, supporting the work on the use of propellant tool? Mostly is on the linkages. What we've seen, I think, from Shiti and from Jordan, the experiences, that linkage between the professionals and the community, to be able to work together against what we know as conventionally the surveyors are very technical. So we can see that change of approach happening now. And also, let's see at the global level, now GLTN is happy to be part of this, like workshop and maybe other initiative by the young surveyor through this VCSP. So it's more of how do we create a center of excellence that we can share these experiences to others, create a debate around them, and we can share, be able to inspire other people, so that, that collaboration, that innovation, that sort of voluntary work, can be categorized and, is sustainable in the long term. So it's good. But also, I think something also I cannot miss to say is that GLTN is very happy to support with the platforms, with the tools, so that the young surveyors are able to become champions in country, like we see the experiences on the past in maybe in Nepal and that. So that kind of experience is what GLTN is taking up, and we can see this is, really being creating change at the country level. So without taking too much of time, I think I'll stop at that, but if there's a question, I'm happy to elaborate further.
Great, thank you so much, Solomon. Very well spoken, and it's great to hear of all the the positives that are coming from it. I will pose the same question to Justus now from Cadasta's perspective. So I'll quickly repeat it. So how have Cadasta's actions and VCSPs helped to promote tenure security in the face of all challenges, especially from volunteering perspective? Justus was heavily involved, particularly earlier this year, with some VCSP missions in Africa. So maybe we can speak about that a little bit, Justus.
Yes, thank you so much, Aaron, and all the VSP team, and very much meet all of you. And Diane, it's also good to meet you. Can you hear me well?
Yes,
my internet is a little bit unstable today. Okay, good, thanks. we are the new kids on the block when it comes to partnering with VCSP, but from the initial team that we had, we can say it was much of a success in many fronts. In terms of securing of tenure, our volunteers were able to work directly with let me switch off the video. Our volunteers were able to work directly with communities in urban informal settlements here in Kenya, Nairobi, and together with our partners, they were able to develop an atlas of informal settlements. In a way, this was just able to bring out data that is really needed, especially in documentation of land rights. During a time when we were envisioning a lot of demolition, especially in informal settlements, a time when we had discussions going around about the importance of shelter, the importance of land to people within the urban settlement, especially with the lockdowns, where people were supposed to spend most of their time in their houses. So in terms of our experience and seeing how it relates to tenure, and especially at this very, we can say, very uncertain times, I think it really helped the volunteers to be able also to build their skills, the skill set in terms of proper land tools that we offer at Cadasta, and also to see how they can be able to use those tools in documentation of land rights for securing of tenure. Also, there's other processes such as sharpening of the volunteers in terms of their technical skills and their soft skills, such as communication, partner negotiation, such kind of things, which are very important in the work that we do, especially the work around tenure. And I don't know, I think that's what I can highlight as the main aim, kind of contributions of Cadasta to securing of tenure.
Great,
to the
yes.
VCSP program.
Thank you, Justus. It's great. It's great to hear, and it was so amazing to be involved in. It was a little bit on the periphery from me as a mentor. The VCSPs who were involved in that they needed very little mentoring because they are extremely proficient, and they did a very good job. But it was great to see VCSP get that off the ground, and in conjunction with you also to get that off the ground with COVID, despite all of the challenges. It's really impressive. So well done. Well, we have you there, Justus. So I'll move on to the next one. What has been an achievement? Well, it was going to be what has been an achievement of our partnership on tenure security, but you've really you've outlined that already, I believe. Do you want to expand on that in any further way, or you think that's been covered effectively?
I think maybe I can just add, I think in terms of going forward, I see this as an opportunity of not only securing tenure, but starting to identify champions in the land administration field at a very early time, be able to mentor them into positions where they can be able to impact securing of tenure globally. I see this as a very strategic opportunity and collaboration between Cadasta Foundation and Young Surveyors Network to be able to build capacities of young surveyors to be able to meet the needs of the industry. I see this as an opportunity between Cadasta Foundation and the Young Surveyors Network to continue enlightening surveyors on kind of what are the challenges on the ground. You know, we are getting inspired young surveyors with little experience, but through this kind of interaction, we're able to kind of throw them into the deep end of these challenges, and also be able to help them at a very early step in their careers to start thinking globally, thinking internationally, and starting to develop solutions to these challenges. So
Absolutely.
essentially, we're building the new
said.
Dan. We're building, yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry, I might have cut you off there. Very, very well said. It's a great opportunity, and it's good to hear. We'll go back to Solomon on the same topic there. I've been involved in some workshops with GLTN. It's amazing to also see what GLTN is doing in this space. So would you like to comment on what an achievement of the partnership with VCSP and GLTN on tenure security has been, or where you see it going in the future?
That's right, Aaron. I think it's commendable, I have to say. It started from a very informal initiative, but you see now we are able to bring it to the global level, and that's commendable. And I think what we are now looking at is how can we move to the next step, making this more sustainable, and the impact that we are delivering to the communities, that there is that strong sense of ownership, to the solutions that we are developing, but also, being able to link the civil society, the government, and other professionals to work together. I think that's the direction we want to look at. Already we can see those achievements that have been, already mentioned here. But again, let's catalyze that and move forward to build this network stronger.
Great, absolutely. It's great to hear so much talk about the future and progress and opportunities in this chat. So thank you very much. I just quickly throw a reminder to everybody to complete the Menti questions that have been shared in the chat, and also feel free to type any questions in there that you have for Solomon or Justus or me. But I mean, I feel out of place here. These two guys are very, very impressive. So I'm lucky to be sitting here with them. We'll stay with Solomon. What three nuggets of advice would you give to young surveyors volunteering with or without VCSP in order to be able to better engage tenure security issues?
Interesting. It's a good question. I'll just try and see, at least we can relate to it. But to begin with, I think one critical aspect, and we cannot avoid, because I'm a young surveyor at some point, and I'm just that level of transition to the being an old one. But yeah, let's see. When we are going through the educational phase, we're trying to be more technical, and our professional approach has been very limited. So I think this exposure, and especially when you're working with the different partners in the field, is giving us an opportunity to change our approach, to change our mindset. And I think that is something, as young surveyor, we're seeing here, being reported by Shriti and Jordan from previous experiences, that it's not even about the career, it's also about the personal growth, building that network. That is also able to build you professionally, socially, and in other aspects. So that's something we have to remain open to. So it's not only limiting ourselves to the professional approach. Another aspect I have to think about is, as much as you're seeing the growth, most of this volunteer work doesn't come with a huge expectation. And I think is what sort of reward are we looking at? So let me not talk of, being able to, create a very strong position within your career, but, it gives you an opportunity to share experiences, be able to become a mentor out there, be able to transform and create change within your network, within the young surveyors. So you're becoming sort of a mentor to the young generation, which is really something to encourage. And finally, I think is one way that when you're using these tools, you're also becoming sort of an evaluator and contributor to their growth and to their development. So we would like you, when you're using these tools, provide us that feedback that we can be able to monitor and improve whatever we are doing. Maybe it's along the fit for purpose approaches, maybe on the Cadasta platform, on the STDM. This is tools that are really developing from experiences on the ground. So what are some of those gaps that we can cover up based on your experiences? So we would like you to look at that deeply and make that recommendation to us so that we can also improve going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I can 100% agree with that, with my experience in volunteering. As surveyors, or as a surveyor myself, the technical skill is one, especially with your first point, the technical skill is one aspect to it. And the one large benefit I got from myself from volunteering, among many, many others, was that broadening of skills beyond the technical to more relationship-based and starting to understand more of the issues from another perspective rather than specifically technical. And it's I would recommend it to everyone as it broaden your skill base. So thank you for making that point. How about Justus? He's been quiet there for a couple of minutes, so we'll give him an opportunity to speak again. Do you have some advice that you would like to give to young surveyors volunteering with or without VCSP in order to be able to better engage tenure security issues? Over to you, Solomon. Sorry, Justus. Over to you, Justus.
Yeah, I don't. It's quite hard to advise your fellows, but maybe I can share with what works for me. I started as a volunteer. I was volunteering for UNHabitat. That's how I started a profession on STDM. Now I'm at Cadasta. So just also agreeing to what Solomon has said is that volunteering is an experience, is an opportunity for you to learn new skills and also be able to understand different tools and what their functions, their advantages and disadvantages, their limitations. And also an opportunity to be able to kind of see what, be able to understand at a very early age, at a very early stage in your career, which tools you can prescribe for different kind of tenure scenarios. In terms of adversarial advice, that while you're volunteering, just ensure that you at least network. Your network is your net worth. Ensure that you're able to reach out to as many people in your field as possible. Just for conversations, it might not lead to anything, but just knowing what other people are doing in whatever field that they're in or in whatever sector that they're in might help in your growth. Number two is communicate. I think you can write blogs about it. You can do vlogs about it, or you can write articles about it. Communicate. The only way people can know that you are there is through communication. And we understand the reason why VSSP is because we want to also offer an opportunity to advance your career. And you can only advance your career if people know there's a person of this particular skill set in a particular place in the world. Number three is more of develop personal discipline. It goes a long way, especially in ensuring that you do the work that is required in the required format, and just being open and being self-motivated.
Great, those are some really, really great tips. I particularly connect with the last one where you spoke about being motivated, because you are the person who is driving the work when you're in a volunteering situation. In my experience, you gain so much from it, but you also need to be driving. It's a different experience for me to working in Australia and New Zealand, which is very different to working elsewhere. Working in Cadasta is a very different experience, and so you don't have the I don't know, you don't have a boss who's chasing you to work hard and do work, and the work you're doing may not be the work that you are used to in your job, and so you need to continue to focus on that and to look for opportunities for capacity building when you're there. Take those opportunities when they come out. You never know what will come from that volunteering opportunity. Yeah, grab it with both hands and work hard. So we have about 8 minutes left. I'm not seeing too many questions from the audience, from the participants. So get in quick if you have a question, everybody. Remember, just send that and put that in the chat. Make sure you have set to send to everybody so we can see it. You've got about 5 minutes to answer that. Otherwise, we'll be out of time. But until then, we'll jump to our last question. Justus, while you're still there, could you quickly share some of your experiences on how young surveyors and yourself have come across legal, institutional, and social challenges as it affects tenure security?
Yeah, and this is something that we always encounter, especially in the pro-poor sector, where we're trying to use pro-poor tools in order to secure tenure. Some of the challenges is that some of the tools that you're using, they're not legally recognized. Some of the challenges is that institutions feel like once you kind of use these tools, you're gonna make other people redundant. And also social challenges is that sometimes people don't believe, like for instance, for Cadasta Foundation, where we empower community members to do their own demarcation. People don't believe, even the community themselves feel like if we demarcate this land by ourselves, it won't be recognized. But I usually like to say that tenure, and especially tenure security, is a peer-peer relationship. If your neighbor recognizes your tenure, your boundary, and recognize theirs, there's tenure security. If that doesn't happen, even when the government recognizes that, there won't be tenure security. So some of these institutional and legal challenges, it takes time. For instance, for legal challenges, is understanding the laws and explaining to the duty bearers on how you meet those legal requirements. For the institutional, it requires a lot of reaching out, talking to the leaders within the institution, and mostly for us in cadastral surveying, is more the ministries in charge of lands or physical planning, reaching out to them and having open communication and letting them understand what is happening. And in the end, as it has been our case in Uganda, you find the institutions now start being your champions. They start going out and praising your name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. I came across something similar in Kiribati where the public did not understand well the process for determining land boundaries. And the surveyors, whilst they were very good at their jobs, were targeted by local owners who were concerned about their land. And so that ability to share and expand the education for landowners on the process for who defines the boundary. The surveyors are just doing their job. They're not making a decision in this instance. Yeah, I think that's a pertinent point which agrees with what you were just saying. We're slowly running out of time, but we will go back to Solomon, and we've had a question from the participants, from Royal, who's in Namibia. How do you balance volunteering and other opportunities such as full-time employment and studies? And my experience, I took leave from my full-time job and I went and lived in the country for 2 years, but other people have different experience. Maybe Solomon, are you able to add to that?
Yes, Aaron, and thank you very much for that question, Royo. It's an interesting question, I have to say, and it might apply in one context and not in the other. So from my experience, or maybe from the young surveyors that have been working with, some projects supporting country work, this has always been one key consideration area. So whether the availability of, the young surveyors either relate to the context or maybe they are close to work to the, within the same country, or, I mean, it's an issue of what favors the young surveyors and the availability, the flexibility. I have to see is a number of things that come into play. I may not be able to give an exact answer to that, but one way, as you said, it can be either taking a leave, or maybe it's through that exchange program, or maybe through internship opportunities. So there are many ways that can be addressed.
Absolutely, thank you for that. Would you like to add anything in terms of biggest? Oh, I lost my place there. Sorry. Is there anything you'd like to add in terms of experience coming across legal, institutional, and social challenges in related to tenure security?
Sure, I concur with your point there and what Justus has mentioned. It's really, the land industry is very technical, I have to say, and in some cases it's very political. So our approach as young surveyors, we are not always appreciated, when we are providing our, support and volunteership, especially within the very technical industry. So there is that gap for the, for the professionals to perceive, the proper approach to, the land industry. And so it takes a lot of patience, that sort of, continuous and consistent, testing, applying what we are, and through that experience is how I think we are seeing, mindset change in different contexts. So it's something that, is taking a lot of time, given that the volunteer period is also limited. So we don't have the much, full scale, to go through all those experiences. So we can only deliver to an extent, given the time for that volunteer period. I think also, sharing with my colleagues at GLTN, working on STDM, we have that experience that in some context, the young surveyors have that, cultural barriers. We go to an context where you are not, in sync with what's the culture, the social aspects of the people there. So it gives you that, learning curve before you can be able to, understand the practices, the local, behaviors and all that. So I have to say it's a learning curve. And so those are some of the experiences I mentioned. But it's an interesting to say for the young surveyors to give that feedback so that we're also able to mentor and document this so that we are able to share at global level.
Absolutely, 100%. Look, we are out of time, and I think I and probably everybody else could sit here and continue to listen to Solomon and Justus's extremely pertinent advice and experience. It's great to hear from them. So thank you so much, both of you, for your time. I heard some regular themes coming from this chat around championing future and progress, which is really exciting to hear. It's so good to see what GLTN and Cadasta are achieving and offering to the pro-poor land tenure space, and it's great to see so much input and interest from VCSP. I picked up one little thing from Justus earlier. He mentioned new kids on the block, and I wonder if he has an inside running to our first break and what's going to happen there. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. If you haven't been to a VCSP online workshop before, you're in for a bit of a treat. Not sure if Justus is on something there or not. Let's find out. thank you everybody for your time. I'll pass over to Camden. Maybe we can go through the Mentimeter results. So thank you again, everyone, for your input, especially to Solomon and Justus. Really, really great to hear from you. And have a great workshop. Thank you for your participation. Bye.
Thank you very much for the wonderful moderation.
Thank you all so much. I'll just share my screen quickly so you can see the results of the Menti as we run it. If you're seeing anything other than the Mentimeter screen, I'm sorry, but I hope this is what you're seeing. All right. So this is the first one, and I think we've gotten 25 participants to answer. You can answer at your own pace. Just go on to www.menti.com and you can use the code I've written in the chat. We've activated it to participant pace, so you can answer as slowly or as quickly as you like. A lot of you haven't attended any Cadasta or GLTN. Aaron,
it's great to see so much. No, yeah, it's great to see so much understanding, and Cadasta and GLTN are having great reach and making big improvements. So it's good to see. So we have a few a few people who have taken some training with Cadasta and GLTN. I've been involved in both of these briefly, and I highly recommend it. It's certainly beneficial if you want to work with VCSP. It's not probably doesn't preclude you from doing it. You will get the training that goes with it, but please keep an eye out for these workshops and these trainings. Next one, please, Camden. Justus and Solomon, please feel free to jump in and add anything to these as well. Okay, this is interesting. How is land administration for poor communities handled in your country? But it looks like it's a bit below half in terms of very, very well and very poorly. So there's a strong need for Cadasta and GLTN, and we look forward to this number growing a little higher when we redo this workshop in a few years' time, off the back of the good work that they are doing. Next one, please. That was biggest challenges. Wow, there's a lot of answers here, so that is great. I'm going to need to work on my glasses, I think. But the one that really stands out in terms of this word cloud is poverty and also corruption. So yeah, be aware of these things. They're not obviously challenging topics. But yeah, it's great to see so much input. So thank you for that. I think that may have been the last one. Was it Kamsin?
Sorry, just one more.
One more.
This one. What are the opportunities?
Oh, wow, there's some great. Wow, we're going to have to delve into this one. We are certainly out of time, and there's some great input there. So thank you so much to everybody. These will be shared with everyone after the workshop, and I'm sure that VCSP will take these into account as they develop future volunteering opportunities. And yeah, I'm very impressed. So thank you so much, everybody. I will hand back over to the moderators now.
Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Aaron, for such an informative session. And thank you for your words of advice. They were actually really helpful.